begins on Sports 56. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Wolo.
Look up on the wall. There on the wall.
Good Friday, everybody. Nice to have you aboard on what will be more July-like. Heat going up, humidity going up. Sit back, relax. It's not going to be crazy hot, not sweltering hot, not on a first alert day, anyway. So get out and enjoy, if you can, this coming weekend. I know at Wimbledon they're enjoying a nice setup. Alcaraz, the 3 seed, Medvedev, the 5 seed. Medvedev won the first set in a tiebreak, and then it's been all Alcaraz, 6-3, 6-4. To follow will be Djokovic and a kind of an unknown in Lorenzo Musetti, an Italian. It's been a great Wimbledon for Italians. And I think we're all hoping, I know ESPN is hoping, to see a Carlos Alcaraz, Novak Djokovic rematch from last year's Wimbledon final. Those are the two biggest names in men's tennis now. I think everybody would love absolutely to see that. I have to give condolences to the Kiffin family. Obviously a great life that passed away at the age of 84. You get to my age, 84 seems kind of young. You're hoping for 90s, in the 90s somewhere. And as best I could tell, Monty Kiffin had a very productive and healthy life for the most part. 50 years in coaching in the NFL and, of course, in college. In the last few years as an assistant to his son, Lane, and his other son, Chris, that's in the game as well. Monty, best known for his 13 years with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was the father of the Tampa 2 defense. He is the only assistant coach I've ever seen in a Ring of Honor. And I don't know how many Ring of Honors there are. I guess every team is now doing that. It started with Dallas. I give the Cowboys credit for that. But I've never seen an assistant coach in a Ring of Honor. Tampa was the first to do it. And Monty Kiffin, as far as I know, certainly with the Buccaneers, but I think he may be the only assistant coach on any Ring of Honor. What a great life, well lived. Obviously, a family guy, hung with his son Lane in those later years. Had helped him at Tennessee, helped him at USC, helped him at Ole Miss. I think was still a consultant. I don't know what happened here, if this was unexpected or not, but 84 years of age. As I say, in this day and age, you'd love a few more, but when you live a great life like he did, you celebrate it, that is for certain. So our condolences to Lane Kiffin and the entire Kiffin family on the passing of Monty. We're going to talk a little baseball coming up in a few minutes. Tim Doolin will join us. We got Major League All-Star Game. What's the top story halfway through? Cleveland Indians have to be one, but to me, it's Paul Skeens. Yesterday, Skeens left the game after 99 pitches because that's what they do now, with a no-hitter. This is the second time in this rookie's career. Remember, he was pitching for LSU a year ago. This is the second time in his career he's had a no-hitter, and he's been taken out of the game. They took him out on May 11th when he was no-hitting the Cubs. That was his second major league start. Yesterday, he struck out 11 in 7 innings and then had only pitched 99 pitches and took him out. I know analytics, and I know now we only want 5 innings out of our starters and everything. But a no-hitter? I looked it up yesterday after I saw this. And you know, what is there? 2,300 Major League Baseball games already played this year? Something like that. Zach Boyd, not to put you on the spot, but I'll do it. Please don't take umbrage against this.
It's okay.
How many complete games do you think have been thrown in the major leagues this year, considering what there's 22, 23, 2,400 games played?
How many complete games?
Yes, complete games by pitchers. This will tell you the state of the game.
I give you a range, or I got to give you a definite number?
Give me just a number.
Let's say 7.
7. No, it's more than that. It's 18. I would have said 7 because I don't know anybody that pitches more than 100 pitches these days. Crazy. That's twice now. And, he doesn't say anything about it. We'll talk to Tim about that. We talk NBA and the summer leagues and the new TV deal and free agents and Team USA. We'll do that with our agent from Priority Sports in Chicago. Andy Schiffman's going to join us at 10:25. I was looking. Do Grizzlies play tonight in the summer league? Or does
Yes.
What time?
It's at 5.
So that must be on NBA TV because it is not listed in the commercial appeal on the air. ESPN, I think, is doing the games as well. I'm going to double check this because I know they got games. Here's what the summer league is. ESPN2's got the Timberwolves and Pelicans at 4:30. ESPN's got the Lakers and the Rockets, so you get to see Bronny, all 10 minutes or 20 minutes of them. And then you got the Wizards and the Hawks at 8:30, so that's all on ESPN or ESPN2. Nothing whatsoever with the Grizz. So that must be on NBA TV because I was under the impression all the Summer League games were on TV.
I could tell you, I can.
And I know, remember,
right now.
you remember Pete Pranica said he's doing 5 games in Vegas for NBA TV. So they have a package. It must be on NBA TV. And they also probably have an option of ESPN Plus. Usually, they do both those.
Yeah, so it's on tonight's game for the Grizzlies is going to be on NBA TV and on ESPN Plus.
There we go. At what you say 5 o'clock?
It's at 5.
Okay. Very good. Come home and watch that. That'll be a lot of fun. And then, of course, we end our week with Brian Takis, and we'll talk some Tigers. And there is some Tiger news and another loss of a guy I really liked and I thought did a terrific job. Scott Burns, who has been the football sports information director. I thought he was going to take over the job of Michael Schroeder because he's going to Missouri. But Scott Burns got an offer from the University of Florida to be the head of football communications. I suspect that is the same job with a little different title. They don't have the old just SID names anymore. They always have fancier names in collegiate athletics now. I would suspect the SEC money was pretty enticing, and so Scott Burns is gone. There is hardly anybody left. Ed Scott's going to hire a whole new team. And this happens. Everybody does. But I will say this. College athletics, as we know, has changed immensely with NIL and transfer portal and everything else. That's just the nature of athletes, right? And now we're paying them and all this other thing. But the days of guys that are with a school for a career in sports information or as athletic directors, those days are gone. They just are. You don't see a guy who gets one job, stays in it, and retires very often. You take a guy like Charlie Cavanero. He came from the newspaper business. He got the job as the AD at Memphis. He retired as the AD at Memphis. R.C. Johnson. He'd been an athletic director of 1 or 2 places, but he had the job 20-something years. He retired. Those days, I think, are gone. Laird Veach was an assistant AD many places, finally got his job here. Now he's at Missouri. We'll see how long he lasts at Missouri. Sports information directors like Bob Wynn, who'd been around forever, they're gone. He retired. Well, COVID kind of retired him, but he had stepped down from the main gig for a while. My point being this, and maybe it's because of it becoming a bigger business with more money involved to be enticed away by the haves as opposed to the have-nots. Maybe that is why it has become so transient. But the days of this is family, this is my career job for good, I'm here through it all, I'll be a historian, then I'll retire, those days are gone. All of college athletics in almost every area now are transient. And I guess that's good for those guys because I am imagining their lifestyles and their families get a little bit better advantages. But it's certainly not the same feel And I guess that's the way life is. Everything changes. But it's certainly college now. College athletics has become a transient business
Yeah.
for certain. All right, I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios, and I'm reminding you, I don't know how much more time we got, probably through the end of the month, but it's the summer party sale, and it's a good one with 24-foot above-ground pools under $2,000. That is a terrific price. You get the state-of-the-art above-ground pool, and these are big 24 feet for under $2,000. Outstanding. How about the four-person hot tubs? That's state-of-the-art. That's under $3,000. You can get 4 people in there, and I mean, it's a party. There's a party with a price on a play gym. That's up to $1,000 off. Patio furniture in stock, 50% off. This is what I'm talking about. You'll party this summer with this sale from Family Leisure. All right, let's talk a little baseball. Let's bring in our guru halfway through the baseball season. And our man, Tim Doolin, joins us now. All right, Tim, give me your thoughts on the stories of the year. Cleveland, best record in baseball. Paul Skeens, 7 more hitless innings. Second time this year he's had a no-hitter. And the Pirates have taken him out of the game. Yesterday, 7 innings, 11 strikeouts, 99 pitches. Come on. Good morning.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, you got to protect your assets, and I think he's the story. To be honest with you, Cleveland is like more of the same. I mean, that organization has just done such a great job, and Terry Francona being done now, and they've just kind of kept on rolling. But Paul Skeens is definitely, to me, the story of the year, and I kind of understand a little bit of them protecting him, but in the same sense, it's not like it's his first start. It's not like he's coming out of spring training. This guy's a dominant guy, and I can't wait to see him in the All-Star game. I think it would be interesting to see him start the game so he could face the best hitters in the National League, 1 through 4, and see how he matches up, because that's obviously would be something for the ratings for sure.
Well, the interesting aspect is there's never been a guy who was the first draft choice that even made an All-Star team in his very first year. I mean, he didn't stay in the minor leagues very long. There have been guys that have gone from college straight to the major leagues. There's been a few of those. But this guy making the All-Star team as the number 1 draft choice in the season prior is pretty amazing. To be the starter would be incredible, and I kind of think he deserves it.
No, there's no question he deserves it, and I understand that there's you got Chris Sale having a great year, and is it a seniority kind of thing to where veteran guys that are in the All-Star game that have been around for a long time, are they more deserving than Skeens? I can understand that argument, but in the same sense, you want your viewership and you want your fans to tune in, and as we all know, all All-Star games sometimes get watered down and they're not as fun to watch, but I think this would be, great TV for sure.
Let's go back to just the analytics of it all. The guy threw 99 pitches. It was his second start when he went 6 innings and had a no-hitter against the Cubs. That was May 11th. I kind of see that. Seriously, I mean, this is your prize. You just brought him up. You want him to get a taste. Even though he was really successful, you sort of stop there because, okay, it's all positive. You don't want to see the guy mentally blow something that's really great. But not this time. This time around, he's already been named an all-star starter. Are we just to the point now where a starting pitcher is not going to go more than 5 or 6 innings? He's not going to throw more than 100 pitches. Is that just going to be it? I just went over with Zach. There's like 2,400 Major League Baseball games already this year, and I counted it up, and I think this is correct. There were only 8. Have only been 18 complete games thrown by pitchers this year. 18 out of 2,400.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is the way that we're going right now. But I think over the next couple of years, and we have seen some adjustments made and all the analytic stuff. But I'm in the same boat that John Smoltz preaches every day when he's asked questions like this: is we're rushing players, especially pitchers, to the big leagues. The mindset and the philosophy of all the front offices are, let this guy go out there, throw as hard as he can for up to 100 pitches, and then you get him out. And I just don't think that's teaching pitchers in the minor leagues to learn how to pitch versus just throw as hard as they can. And then you got to look at, advisors and agents are telling their players, this is what players that are getting paid, this is what they're doing, and this is the analytics, and so players have to pitch to that or play to that to get the results to ultimately get paid when they get to arbitration. And so years ago, it was just the opposite. Guys, I played with the likes of Musina, Kurt Schilling, Pete Harnish, Jose Mesa. All those guys, when they got the ball, they did not want to come out of the game. They wanted to finish the game they started, and that, to me, I think that's taken away a lot of the fun of watching. Going and watching a Dwight Gooden or Roger Clemens or the likes of Nolan Ryan. Their mindset was, I'm finishing this game.
I'm not sure that mindset exists, that culture anymore exists, and I'm not sure we'll never ever see a single guy no-hitter anymore. It's crazy.
It really is.
They want you to come in and throw this as hard as you can for as long as you can, and if they see a drop in velocity or a little loss of control, boom, out you go, in comes the next guy. Crazy. Can the Chicago White Sox be as bad as the 60s New York Mets? And this team has won 27 games so far.
Well, I think it's going to get worse because I think you're going to see Crochet get moved. And when he gets moved, the White Sox are going to get some young prospects, but that's not going to make their team this year better. That's for sure. So it's a bad team. And you look I saw the other day on the internet that, when they started the year, they had several veteran guys that they thought that they had signed and were gotten in trade acquisitions that were going to help kind of piecemeal it and get them back. Tim Anderson's released. A lot of those players are already off the roster. It's a bad club, that's for sure.
It's incredible. I don't know how they have gone so bad so quickly. No, I shouldn't say quickly. When did they win a World Series? That 2005 or 2006? It's been a while, but to me, it's just how bad they have gotten is just an amazing thing, for sure. All right, National League Central. Brewers 5 games up on the Cardinals. Cardinals are over 500. The Pirates are 3 games over 500, or 3 games under 500, excuse me. Cubs are 4 games under 500. So are the Reds. It would seem to me, even though the Cubs and the Reds are 9 games behind the Brewers, only 3 games behind wildcards. All 3 of these, all of these teams are still in the mix for some sort of postseason. As bad as they are, who wins the National League Central?
Oh my! I think it's too early to tell. I mean, it's like we talk about this all the time, and it's the same every year. It's over the last several years, it's always been the Brewers or the Cardinals, right? And so now the Pirates have gotten a lot better. They've had some really good drafts. Ben Cherington's done a great job as their GM. So I think it's more fun to watch because now we're talking about more teams in the mix. I'd probably have to say the Brewers. The Brewers are probably the team that's going to win it.
Well, they're up 5. They should.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're not quite at the All-Star break yet, but yeah, they should.
Well, they played 90.
A lot of things.
They played 94 games.
Yeah, a lot of things happen. A lot of things can happen, but Pat Murphy, who's been in baseball for a long time, been a bench coach for the Brewers. He understands the type of player he has, and all the players know the type of game they want to play, and they play a really good brand of baseball. Well, if you ever watch them, and it's like they have a little bit of the old school small ball. They run, they bunt, they hit and run. They got some power. They play really good defense, and they're not. He's not afraid to take some chances and do some things. So they got a really good club. So I would say they're probably going to win that division.
If the playoffs started today, the Cardinals would be a wild card. And not the last wild card in the National League, by the way. That would belong to the New York Mets that are 2 games over 500. Will the Cardinals make postseason play?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I think, again, think about why they're in the position they're in, which is a pretty good position. I think they would be happy if you told them at the beginning of the year they would be in this position. But there again, you got a Lance Lynn who is not in the best shape. He's not on the right side of the age. I mean, he's on the back side of his career. He's given him a lot. Is he going to be able to finish the season giving him the same thing he's given him? And you've already had some other guys, on the DL that are pitchers. And so that's what's going to come down to, I think, for them to make the wild card and keep the position they're in. they're going to have to continue to get quality innings from their pitchers.
Certainly in the hunt, that is for sure. I know you're busy this morning with all kinds of competitions, so we'll let you go. We appreciate it. We'll be off next week as I undergo getting a new right arm so that I can become a Doolin Dodger in the future.
I would let you borrow mine, but mine's not very good either.
Thank you, Tim. Talk to you in 2
good
weeks.
luck. All right,
Thank
well,
you. That's our guy. That is Tim Doolin on baseball. He's brought to you by Grind City Brewing, home of great beer, home of this terrific venue. That's what it is. You can watch fireworks. You can see concerts. They got it all going on just north of downtown. I mean, just north of downtown where you see the city lights, you see the bridges. It's really, the skyline's cool. And you get a great view right at Grind City Brewing. And while you're sitting either inside that magnificent facility, which is modern looking and beautiful, or outside underneath the picnic table with an umbrella, you're going to drink just what the doctor ordered. Pills, Poppy's Pills, the Pilsner. Maybe you'll get the Pale Ale. That's the God Hopper. If you like Blue Moon, you'll love the Belga, the Belgian-style wheat ale. There's the Amber Lager, the Thaddeus. And, of course, they've got this thing that's unique. It's a craft malt liquor. They named it after the Tigers because they love the U of M. It's called Tiger Tail. It is that craft malt liquor with a little extra alcoholic kick. Such a cool place. So many great products. You got to check it out. You thank me if you do. I promise. That's Grind City Brewing, just north of downtown. We take this quick time out. When we return to the Windy City, Chicago, we go. Our agent, Andy Schiffman from Priority Sports, is standing by.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Guns, and more guns. Over 700 firearms in stock. Home defense guns, old guns, new guns, used guns, big guns, little guns. Every gun you can think of, Classic Arms has them. All brands like Glock, Sig, Colt, Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Browning, Beretta, Benelli, Remington, Winchester, and more. Guaranteed lowest prices in town. Only gun importer in the Mid-South. Free gun inspections and appraisals and free bore sighting for the upcoming deer season. Shop online at ClassicArmsOfMemphis.com or visit Classic Arms at 1740 Germantown Parkway behind Quirky's Barbecue in Cordova.
If you want a great experience, you need to go to Genesis.
Meet Kendall Wolo, who shopped several other jewelry stores but ended up at Genesis Diamonds with a bigger, better quality diamond for less.
Based on what I had seen elsewhere, I didn't know that this size diamond would be possible for me to have on my finger.
Are you ring shopping? Genesis Diamonds has one of the nation's largest selections of GIA certified diamonds at the guaranteed best prices, bar none.
You're going to get the most value for your dollar at Genesis Diamonds. You're going to get the best customer service in town and probably in the entire state.
And that's what Kendall really loved. The personal attention, the relaxed environment, the no-pressure shopping experience.
This jewelry store was like home. It wasn't walking into corporate America. Nothing's a sales pitch here. It's all genuine. They're like a family.
Genesis Diamonds.
There would be no reason that I could ever think of that you would not go to Genesis first. And if you leave Genesis and try to shop around, you will come back to Genesis.
Memphis's direct diamond importer at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
You watch sports. You listen to sports. Now let's talk sports. Well, not anymore, because Sports 56 is opening the airwaves overnight. From 12 midnight till 6 a.m. for people like you to talk sports in your own 1-hour radio talk show on Sports After Dark. For 1 hour, $1 sports really on demand regardless. contact the podcast center at gmail.com or call 901-468-3097. That's the podcast center at gmail.com or 901-468-3097. Amateur and professional talk show hosts encouraged to apply.
Required orientation is Saturday, July 20th, or you can take it online at your leisure at the podcast center, Memphis.com.
Back to Wolo and friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshyn.
Carlos Alcaraz up a set 2-1 has just broken Daniel Medvedev. 4-3, he's up serving up 2-1. This could end up being a 4-set affair. And then, of course, Joker and the Italian Mazzetti to follow. So we'll see if we get the final we're all looking. Zach, have you seen who's on top at the Genesis Scottish Open? Have you? Ludwig Oberg.
Oh, there's your guy.
My guy, who I picked.
Yeah.
Shot 6 under today, 12 under. He's got a one-shot lead on Rosner. Sung Jae Im, you had him, didn't you?
Yeah, I do.
He's 10 under. He shot 3 under today. Did you have Thigala? Somebody had Thigala.
I got it right here.
Morikawa.
Johnny has Thigala.
And then who's got Morikawa?
Mickey.
Okay, so he's 9 under. So everybody's got a rep here in the running. Rory McIlroy still out there. He's 8 under, 3 under for today through 9. So
kind of disappointed on Schauffele, though. I wish you'd have played better.
Yeah, well, not his day. I'll tell you who's had a terrible day, who was way up there. It was 8 under after the first day. Justin Thomas, he finished 2 over today. So he's 6 under. He's basically 6 shots after 2 rounds now behind the leader, Ludwig Oberg. We're going to Chicago here momentarily to talk a little NBA with our agent from Priority Sports. That's Andy Schiffman. He's brought to you by the Eflin Insurance Team. You know how they do their jobs. They want to get to know you to protect you better. It's called collaborative insurance. That's how I call it anyway, and I appreciate it because they want to get to know you to best protect you. They're going to find out about you and your family, what's important, what's your budget, and then they pick the perfect car or home or life insurance for you and your family. That's the way they operate with small to mid-sized businesses. That's their specialty. They're going to get to know you and your employees, your product. They'll forecast you out couple of years, what's your budget, and then they find the perfect commercial insurance to protect your business. All you got to do is call 901-386-GER. That's 4777. They got GER in there because they're big Tiger supporters. 901-386-GER. Get protected the collaborative way. Get in touch with the folks at the Eflin Insurance Team. Let's go to Chicago, and let's start with Priority Sports. At this moment, very high-profile employee or client, and that is Zach Edey with a bum ankle after one great performance in his debut in a Grizzlies uniform. What is the status of Zach Edey, Andy Schiffman? Good morning.
Good morning, Dave. Hopefully he'll be playing tonight. If not tonight, he'll definitely get some time. I'm expecting to get some time in Vegas. I know a lot of Grizzlies fans want to see him play in Vegas. A lot of Memphis fans be out there in person to see him play as well. I think the Grizzlies really more than anything are just being precautionary. Obviously, these games don't matter for anything, so the last thing they want to do is put their prize lottery pick in a position to compromise his ankle even further, which might keep him out longer or God forbid, keep him out of part of training camp. So I don't think it's anything serious, but we will see how they want to use him here for the rest of Vegas. Like I said, he's played great in the games that he did play out in Salt Lake and started off his summer league debut with a double-double and just looked great. And I think it's going to be a great fit from a personnel standpoint. Zach paired with Triple J and Brandon Clark, our other guy, obviously there in the front court with some of these other pieces around them. So I'm excited. I think Grizzlies fans are excited. I think Zach and Taylor are definitely excited, but they just have to be careful in this stage of the summer where players' health matters more than anything, and especially in some of these games, it's a free-for-all. It's like the Wild West, and you got a lot of younger players out there playing recklessly, and then you've got a guy like Zach Edey with a target on his back if you're someone else going against him. So you just have to be careful.
Well, he showed how tough he was because he got hurt and then he came right back in. So it can't be
Yep.
really all that serious, let's be honest. I don't blame the Grizzlies for being very cautious. And, the kid played so well that there are some people who have made him favorites now to become the Rookie of the Year.
I know.
I think one game in a summer league is certainly not going to be a true barometer. I'm sure that he doesn't mind it. But give me your sense of what you saw from him, how he'll fit, and what did he say to you guys about his performance?
Well, first off, with the Rookie of the Year comment, I've been seeing that, and I think it had less to do with just the one game in Summer League game, but more so if you look among this class. There's a lot of players that were lottery picks and first-round picks in this draft that have a lot of upside that are going to be very good NBA players. But I think if you really try and map out what you'll see this year, Zach, his college experience really set him head and shoulders above everybody else in terms of being able to come in and impact the game. And you've got a guy, the number one pick, Zachary Richichet with the Hawks, coming over from France, obviously Alex Sarr. Huge upside with these guys, right? But in terms of someone that's going to make an impact this year, I don't think there's a better prospect or player, let's say, that can do that and leave his imprint on the game than Zach. And so I think it is absolutely warranted that he could be Rookie of the Year. So I'm excited. Look, Zach felt very comfortable. His personality, he has great personality. It's great personality, and it's laid back, not in a lazy way, not in a careless way. He's very, very confident. And so whether it's playing in the national championship game, whether it's Big Ten Wednesday night game at Purdue or the first Summer League game, he's always got the same demeanor. Like, look, I know what I'm capable of doing. I'm going to go out there and take care of business, and no one's going to stand in my way. And he doesn't get overhyped, and he doesn't get too high with the highs or too low with the lows. But I think he's ready. That's the biggest thing. You see rookies a lot of times in Summer League, they tell us they're nervous before the game or they just felt nervous when they get out there, and that wasn't Zach at all. He felt comfortable. He felt ready. He loves the staff. He loves his teammates. He just wants to win. The guy just is a hooper, and he just wants to win. So it's the same old Zach for us, and I think Grizzlies fans will see that over time, that he's a team-first guy. But, yeah, he was very excited about just getting out there and playing with his new NBA squad.
Did he really play hockey? I mean, I can't imagine a 7-footer who weighs 300 pounds on skates. I just can't.
He played hockey, and Dave, he pitched. He played baseball growing up. He pitched. Basketball was the last sport he picked up, and look at him now.
Wow. What, was he a goalie? What did he play in hockey?
I'm not exactly sure what position. I know in baseball as a pitcher. But, yeah, hockey, I never really asked him what position, per se.
That's just impressive to be that big and that athletic. People don't think he's athletic, and I'm not going to say he looks like a sprinter, but
right.
for a guy that big, he uses his feet incredibly well, and
he does.
Knows. And I don't know if it was Matt Painter or who taught him footwork and basically angles on screening. That's the most impressive thing I've seen.
And that's the thing. People forget this. Everyone wants to sit there and ding a kid like Zach for staying in college longer. Had he come out 2 years ago, probably the ceiling was a two-way. Now he goes back to Purdue with all eyes on him. Obviously, competes for a national championship against Connecticut, but continues to develop and learn little nuances that translate to the NBA game just like that. And, of course, he's with our staff here in our gym. We've got a couple great pre-draft trainers on our staff who are also agents, Kyle McElharney and Torian Jones, and they drill this information and these, I guess, new terminology and things like footwork and angles and all that into these players' heads for the time they're here in Chicago before the draft. And exactly to your point, like for a guy like Zach, angles on screens, vision, passing, where to be on defense. And I think the biggest thing that gets us excited is everyone wants to sit there and just pigeonhole Zach into being this heavy-footed 7'3", however tall the guy is, 7'5", just monster. And I think, and you saw a little bit of a glimpse of this at the Combine when he was quicker in some of the drills than Donovan Kling, which everyone raved about. I think Zach's going to really impress people moving his feet laterally. And we've talked about this, you and I, on this show before. And again, is he going to be out there on an island switching on the likes of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or Jason Tatum? No. But I think he's going to be a lot better in that area than people give him credit for, and it's only going to continue to improve. You saw that at Purdue. We saw that here in Chicago leading up for the draft. So now you get him in a system with the coaching staff that's going to really work with him. I think that area, just his reads, and here's a little stat, right, that a lot of people don't give him enough credit for. But if you want to sit there and peg him as a defensive liability and just someone that is really a liability and problematic on the defensive end on pick and roll and switches and hedges, and when he goes out there and shows and his inability to recover, look at how many times the guy got in foul trouble. Few and far between he ever really got in foul trouble. He hit his free throws. He was never really this slow-footed big fouling out. So I think that says something. And now you translate that to the NBA where there is more space and more freedom to move. I'm excited. I think that he's going to get a lot of deserved credit on the defensive end that a lot of critics did not think he had. And so I'm really eager and excited to see him kind of shut them all up in that area.
Your thoughts on Jalen Wells, who is getting a standard contract, and really, to me, a guy I think is a real find, Cam Spencer. I think this guy can play.
Yeah.
I think he'll be a rotational guy. He's going to start as a two-way, it seems.
He is, and Cam Spencer, he actually's got a great agency behind him. They're called Priority Sports.
No way. He's another of
Absolutely.
your guys?
Come on. He's an upperclassman from college. We're going to get him. So the Corey Kispers of the world, Zach, Cam Spencer. So yeah, Jalen Wells, obviously not our client, but I think he's a very good piece for the Grizzlies. I don't know how much he's going to be put in a position to impact the game early on. I mean, we'll see. Obviously, he's a really good developmental piece, I'd say, out of Washington State. I think he provides depth. I think he'll probably spend a lot of time at the G League, but he looks pretty good so far in Summer League. And then, yep, you said it, man. Cam Spencer, the guy he's probably one of the most competitive players I've ever been around, as I mentioned in our gym leading up for the draft. And it's funny, so one of my guys in this draft, Johnny Furphy out of Kansas, who was drafted 35 to Indiana, he roomed with Cam Spencer here in Chicago as we prepared these kids for the draft. And Johnny is this 19-year-old wide-eyed kid from Australia, and he's very reserved and very quiet. And then you have his roommate, Cam Spencer, which was actually done by design, putting these two together. Huh. He was very boisterous, confident, and the most competitive guy out there. And so I think that definitely rubbed off not only on Johnny, but a lot of his other draft classmates, Zach Edey included. But, man, Cam, he's going to be on a two-way to start, but I have to believe every bone in my body feels like he's going to be on the Grizzlies standard 15-man roster before we get to the trade deadline or end of the season. He's an elite-level shooter, and he's an elite-level competitor. And you can sit there and ding him for maybe his positional size or lack of athleticism here and there, but you look around the league at guys kind of a similar build, right? Like maybe like an undersized two. And you look at what Peyton Pritchard's done. You look at what, obviously, Alex Caruso has done, and I think Cam's even a better shooter than these guys. So I'm excited to see where he's going to be at the end of this season down the road. I think Memphis, as you said, I think they got a steal. And his competitive behavior is going to be infectious in that locker room. And when he gets out there on the court, he's going to be a fan favorite.
There's a few I's to be dotted and T's to be crossed, but pretty much the television deal for the next 11 years is signed, sealed, and delivered after the next year. At a tune of about $7 billion per year. If you can, sort of give us a short course on what this will mean for players and for salaries going up. I know there's a limitation. I think it's 10% across the board that you can only go up per year. But I'm told by 30, let's just say, that the top stars, say a Luka Doncic, they'll be making $80 million per year. Sort of go over this whole thing, if you don't mind.
Sure. I think the general theme to keep in mind here is the max player salaries, the minimum salaries, the rookie scale salaries, everything that is kind of slotted and already written into the collective bargaining agreement, the different mechanisms teams have to use. You hear things like the mid-level exception if you're a team that's over the salary cap, the taxpayer exception if you're a team that is in the tax, different amounts of salaries that you can use. those are all contingent on what the NBA salary cap is. The NBA salary cap is contingent on the basketball-related income that the NBA brings in. And one more step, the basketball-related income, BRI, is heavily dependent on exactly what you mentioned, a TV rights deal. And so now moving forward, there's this massive, very lucrative TV deal that the NBA struck with multiple providers to really hugely increase its revenue and continue to grow. And so thereby the salary cap will increase. Right now it is just under $141 million. And moving forward, it will not increase more than 10% each year. But as it does, and you talk about, okay, if it's at $141 million now and maybe up to $155 million next year, in the next 2 or 3 years, you could see a salary cap of over $170, $180 million. When I started, it was barely $90 million 12, 13 years ago.
So almost double.
Almost double. And so you look at where max salaries can be, you'll see players signing for max salaries, the max players of this world, Tatum, Brown, Luka. I think you have a lot of young up-and-coming stars in that vein. Hopefully our guy Keegan Murray, Paolo Banchero, Chet Holmgren, and where these players will be 3, 4, 5 years from now, you'll see them signing max salaries for north of $50 million. And if you're a player that has spent over 7 years in the NBA, because they're in tiers, or if you're a player that has spent less than 7 years in the NBA, but hit certain criteria, if you're MVP, if you make all NBA, first or second team, different barometers, then you can qualify for the 10-year plus max salary, which definitely, as you said, could be, I mean, we could be looking at max salaries of over $70 million to start a contract. And then you talk about them escalating, depending on the team you're with, up to 8% each year. It's insane in a good way. It's a credit to the growth of the league. But because of that, player salaries across the board will be increasing. When I started, again, like a 0 years of service minimum player in the NBA. So if you're signing a minimum contract as a rookie, the very least amount a team could offer you was about a little over $500,000. I think it was around $502,000. Now it's over 7 figures. If you have no experience in the NBA and you're signing a full season contract, it is going to be at least $1 million. So that right there is doubled. So it's exciting. Obviously, to be a player in the NBA. I think that there's a lot to look forward to if you are a young up-and-coming player in this league. And you always see every summer where players sign deals in free agency, and Woj and Shams are tweeting about things. And you always see this terminology, the most lucrative contract in NBA history. We had that with Bradley Beal a couple of years ago when he signed his max, or the highest paid second-round contract. We actually had the top 2 this year, and Tyler Kolek with the Knicks and Johnny Furphy, who I mentioned. But again, that basically kind of resets every summer. And now, when new players are eligible for the max salaries because the NBA salary cap is continuing to increase, it's always going to be highest in history. Next summer, highest in history, because everything is increasing.
Well, I was alive for the first $100,000 salary. I believe it was Mickey Mantle. And
wow.
I hope that I'm still alive for the first $100 million year guy. Because
I think you will be, and we will see it. Hopefully it's a Priority Sports client.
There you go. I hope for your sake it is. We'll talk in 2 weeks. Maybe then we'll talk a little Olympic basketball. I'll be off next week with a shoulder replacement surgery, but I'll talk to you in 2 weeks. Thank you. I appreciate you, Andy.
Good luck. Hope to see you back out there pitching in the fall.
There you go. It'll be a new arm, baby. I'll be throwing in the 90s.
See you at Wrigley.
You got it. That's our man. That is Andy Schiffman from Priority Sports in Chicago on the NBA. He's brought to you in part by Miramichi. I know a guy on his way out there right now. That would be Greg Gaston's going to play the course today. I'll be out there with my kids on Sunday because, we love Miramichi. We love the challenge. We love the beauty. We love the different tee boxes that you can have. We love the practice facilities, the best practice facilities of any muni I've ever seen. And I'm telling you, most country clubs don't have practice areas as good as Miramichi. If you want to get better, this is the place to go and do it. And it's just gorgeous. And look, PGA Junior League, Sneds Tour, First Tee, used to have the Bubba, the Armor Tour. All these tournaments are here because it's beautiful and it can be difficult. Of course, you can move up like I have now and make it a lot easier. You want a perfect, wonderful challenge and just aesthetically beautiful. It's called the Place of Happy Retreat. Go see Miramichi. 22 minutes from my driveway in downtown, in East Memphis. Downtown is 12 minutes north in Woodstock. It's the true golf experience. It's Miramichi. Brian Takis on the Tigers. He comes your way momentarily.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Everyone loves home improvement. South Haven Supply and Warehouse 51 makes it easy. A real hardware store run by 3 generations of a real hardware family where you can get it on. Whether it's repairs, remodeling, or new building, kitchens, bathrooms, tiles, tubs, vanities, sinks, mirrors, lighting, furniture, even door hardware. All the latest designs as well as timeless classics. And if outdoor fun is on your mind, they have the big green egg and accessories. South Haven Supply at Warehouse 51, 8560 Highway 51. Easy home improvement.
It's better over here.
T-Mobile has an exclusive rate plan just for you. Right now, get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings versus Verizon and AT&T. Plus, you can get rid of the latest 5G phones free when you add a line. That's right, a free 5G phone. Experience all this and more on America's largest 5G network. So why wait? At T-Mobile, customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Just go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 or visit your local store to make the switch. If auto pay using debit or bank account plus taxes and fees, 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Mobile. Plan benefits vary. Free phones up to $300 off with 24 monthly bill credits and qualifying new line for well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Contact us before canceling the entire account to continue remaining bill credits, and if you pay off device early, see details at T-Mobile.com.
Hi, everyone. Broadcaster and ER physician Dr. Jerry Punch here. We all know about the speed of sound, but have you ever thought about the sounds of speeding? If you drive over the speed limit, there are lots of sounds that you might hear. You could hear the sound of your vehicle crashing, the sound of first responders desperately trying to save you. You could even hear the sound of people crying at a funeral. Because if you drive over the speed limit, you could do damage that's beyond repair. One way or another, speeding catches up with you. Paid for by NHTSA.
Hi, folks. Dr. Rick for Sunrise Buick GMC Truck. It's our 35th anniversary of Sunrise, and we're celebrating with savings that are bigger than ever. Over 600 new cars and trucks to choose from with huge savings. It's a used car buyer's dream. Check it out at sunrisememphis.com. Hundreds of used cars and trucks with a lot specializing in cars and trucks under $20,000. Bad credit, it's okay. You're approved at Sunrise. Remember, we specialize in secondary financing. New cars and trucks aren't free, but at least they're affordable. It's the 35th anniversary sale going on now at all Sunrise locations. Coming from Pike Blue Chase and Collierville.
We always end our week with Brian Takis. We talk Tigers. Let's talk PJ Carter. There's a piece, you know, the thing I like most about what I think is going on with Penny and Rick Stansberry and now Mike Davis and Andre Turner is there's a strategy behind this. Now, we know they wanted David Jones. They didn't get David Jones. They took their time. They got a guy that had really committed to Rice for whatever reason. He didn't show up there. And, you know, let's face it, this guy played at a junior college and he played at Texas San Antonio. He did shoot 40.3% from 3. He's a role guy.
Yes.
And that's what he is. And I think if you appreciate that, and he can play D, and he's 6'5". If you appreciate a 3-and-D guy that's going to be a role guy, probably not a starter, but a depth guy here, you're talking about what you want. Instead of an accumulation of a bunch of guys that didn't really ever meld together well, although they were 15-2, but for whatever reason it all fell apart. Now you got guys that I think coming in will understand their roles, and you have the chance to be a pretty good team. In fact, let me just tell you, Jerry Palm released his first bracketology that I've seen.
Okay.
Tigers are a 10 seed
All right.
playing Rutgers in Milwaukee. I'd take it right now.
Sure. Yeah, I would take that. And, Rutgers looks like they could be a really, really good team this year. They've got a couple 5-stars that committed to them. And could be top 10 picks in the draft next year. But so that would be a fun matchup. But no, you're absolutely right when you talk about, Penny Hardaway and the staff going out, and it feels like this year are way more dialed in on getting guys to fit their roles. I mean, I think you've seen that a lot this year with different guys that have committed. It hadn't been maybe as splashy. I've heard a lot of people say that, maybe not as splashy as transfer portals in the past. But I do think bringing guys that can fit their role, and I was talking to Kevin Sweeney either last week or the week before. He joined us in the afternoon on Sportstime, and I asked him, Penny Hardaway's got a couple scholarships remaining. What do you think he does with them? Is there anything out there that's enticing for the Tigers? And he, kind of said it. Transfer portal's shrinking. We're getting to the point where a lot of these guys are committed. They're on campus. They're starting their workout programs with their new teams. And so, he pointed out that maybe you go and get a recruit that's still out there that committed. Maybe you get somebody to, move up from the class of 2025.
He didn't name P.J. Carter, did he?
He did not name P.J. Carter. He actually even said more along the lines of going the international route and going out there and maybe getting somebody abroad and bringing them in. And so,
well, isn't that what the kid? Well, he's from Dallas, but he's been playing in Portugal.
Tuck.
So Tuck,
yeah,
and he's not a signed guy yet, right?
He's just committed. He's nowhere near campus. He's actually getting ready to play in a U20 FIBA tournament with Portugal.
Is he really any good?
He's going to be, in my opinion, a developmental guy. I mean, you watch his film, he's crafty, he does some nice things, but kind of a smaller guy, definitely isn't as refined as you want him to be as a playmaker. So I think he would be a guy that would come in and probably fill a role that we saw those freshmen fill last year, where they're very much bench players. If Penny Hardaway needs a body, needs somebody to go out there and give him minutes, he'll call on them.
Yeah.
But I don't see him being a guy that comes in and is a playmaker. But with P.J. Carter, I like the fit. Like you said, a guy that can come off the bench and really, knock down shots for you. He's a guy that's played in this conference and kind of knows it. I saw Jason Munns point out that, in his last 9 games last year in conference play, he averaged 14.5 points per game, which is much higher than his season average. Everyone's noting the 40% from 3. So, this is a guy that comes in, fills role, I think will understand his role, and is a guy that they got creative with, like you mentioned, has been committed to Rice for a very long time and has not made anything public that says he wasn't happy at Rice or wanted to be somewhere else. And Penny Hardaway and his staff worked their connections, found out maybe the door was a little open, and they went in, got in, and was able to get a flip from him before he ever got on campus. So I like the fit, but you're right. You have to kind of step back and take a look at him fitting a role in this roster, and I think we'll fit it very well.
The other thing that I appreciate about him, from what I understand, I've never really seen him.
Sure.
Other than the 2 games that Memphis played, but that he can play D.
Yeah.
So he's got some athleticism to go with the 6'5", and if you want to play D, and that is something Memphis was not going to get from David Jones.
Yeah.
So, in the long run, obviously you would prefer to have David Jones. Don't
Absolutely.
get me wrong. But there are going to be some upside things to all of this. Is the kid, the Portuguese kid, Tarek, is he part of the 2 scholarships that are open, or are there 2 with him counting?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've been meaning to look at my list.
I think we need to add them up.
Guys. I do need to add them up because it gets so tricky these days with transfer portal. Who's in? Who's out? How many spots do you have? I believe right now, if I had to guess, I would say he's a part of it, but I need to go back and look, and I've been meaning to do that. So I'm not positive, but I think if I had to guess, I would say Penny Hardaway's probably done with the roster. I maybe he adds one more. I would be surprised, but I think we're looking at probably what the roster looks like next season.
You know what? I mean, you count him. He's whatever he is. If he comes, he comes, and then because he's already committed. The only other piece you would want would be another big, right?
Sure. Yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of people have been asking about and have been talking about when you look at that front court. You don't have a ton of size down there, and I think that's a concern. But right now, I mean, big men, you've seen this transfer cycle have kind of been been a premium and are going for a big price, and especially now late in the game, if you see someone out there, everybody can use a big man, and so they're naming their prices, and I know Coleman Hawkins is not a 5. He's more of a 3 or a 4, but a big guy, and he's coming out here after he took his name out of the draft and saying I want $2 million and I'm naming my price, and fans Venmo me and tell me where I should go to school, and so these guys are playing the money game now, and so I think it's gonna be tough to try to find that big man role, but I do think I've heard that they've got some assistants overseas at some of these international competitions, kind of looking at international guys. So I wouldn't be surprised maybe if they see somebody over there, a big that could fill a role, try to make a move for them, and maybe we could see one more addition to this roster.
Whatever happened, by the way, speaking of freshmen, Carl Sharonfont?
Yes.
Where did he go?
New Mexico State, I believe.
New Mexico State.
Either New Mexico or New Mexico State, one of those two.
Well, which is the one that Richard Pitino's at?
That's New Mexico, I believe. He might be in New Mexico.
They lost a cup. They lost their star guard.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the one guy which Carl Penny had kept. I kind of like Carl.
I did too. Yeah.
All right, last thing before we run out of time here. I saw the odds for the Heisman Trophy now have been set.
Sure.
And former Central Florida and then Oklahoma quarterback Dylan Gabriel, who is now with Oregon, is the odds-on favorite. I think Carson Beck, the Georgia quarterback, number 2. Texas quarterback Quentin Ewer is third.
Yeah.
No, they go down like 10 guys. No Seth Hennigan.
Yeah.
If Seth Hennigan played really good against Florida State and say threw 2 or 3 touchdowns and had close to 300 yards, and Memphis goes 10-2 or 11-1, and they win the championship, I wonder if there's any chance. And this guy keeps putting up the kinds of numbers he has the first 3 years. Maybe we need to start. We got a couple of voters at this radio station.
That's right.
Maybe we need to start a little groundswell here. I think Hennigan should at least be considered. Some of the other names I saw, I think he could have a better year than.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And it's, back to kind of what we talk about with a lot of things when it comes to college football. With Memphis being a Group of 5 team, they're not going to get as much attention as some of these bigger programs and some of these bigger quarterbacks. When I think Seth Hennigan is a fantastic quarterback and has shown these last 3 seasons what he can do, and he can compete at a very high level. So, yeah, that Florida State game is going to be massive. I mean, if he goes out there, on a big stage against a really good defense and a really good team and lights it up and puts up big-time numbers, I think his name will be in there. And if, they go on and do what I think a lot of people in Memphis and even nationally think Memphis can do this year, and making a spot in that 12-team playoff. If he's leading a team, a Group of 5 team, to a 12-team playoff, I think his name should and probably will be in that conversation.
Hennigan and Heisman, that kind of runs
you can make something
together really, really nicely. Thank you, my friend. We'll be listening to you with Sports Time this afternoon from 3 until 6. That does it for us. Final portion brought to you by the Spirit Shop. That's Eddie Connor's place right there at Poplar and St. Nick. You can't miss it. Right in the heart of East Memphis. It's got all the beautiful bargains, and you get an education when you go to that little log cabin right down from Clark Tower. Poplar St. Nick, 4848 Poplar, so convenient. Go in, ask what's hot, what's good, what's up and coming. Any kind of spirit, local beer, everything, accessories, they got it at the Spirit Shop. Johnny's still under the weather. Colin Cowherd and Fox Sports coming your way in just a minute. Have a great weekend, everybody.